Hello, it's Phillip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. This morning I'm looking at an excellent book from Oxford University Press. It's the third volume in a series looking at criminal law in the international field. The title of the book is Treatise on International Criminal Law, Volume 3, International Criminal Procedure, and it's been written by a real expert, Kai Ambos. As I say, from OUP. It's a first-class book. Anybody who's involved with international criminal law, and it will be a growing area this century, I've no doubt, should actually read the book. And we've given a title for our review of the following: A Valuable Aid for All Lawyers Involved in this Complex Area of Criminal Law and Procedure as the Boundaries Start to be Redefined. Because that's really where we are. We've got changes at pace at the moment with Brexit and everything else. I'll talk about that in a minute, because whilst this is about international criminal law, the European perspective must come into it because of all the rows that have been going on over our membership of the EU, things like the European arrest warrant, all the other problems that have been mingling with the creation effectively of some form of European law as a structure itself. Now, obviously, we in Britain are leaving Europe. However, the institutions and the procedures and the jurisprudence is still there. Let's look at the book first of all. Here it is, a heavy book. It's a hardback. There's the front, and there is the spine. There's nothing on the back apart from just a little bit. It runs to nearly 700 pages in total. There is the index, which is page numbered. It's quite a detailed index, and he's put a huge amount of work into this. There's index of names of people mentioned, which is, I think, quite useful. Then there's a lot of bibliographical information called general literature in this particular case. And then after that, you've got the various chapter headings. You can see lots of footnotes, and you've got body text throughout. And it's not paragraph numbered in the way that some other publications are. There's the front cover. And then we get, I want to just do, as I always do, there's a dedication there which the author has made, and I like to point that out to everybody reading because of the amount of work he's put into this. The preface is very important because it's taken him a long time to do this. There's a huge amount of scholarship that's gone into it. He explains why, of course, as well. He's based in Germany and at Cambridge, and the actual preface is written in May 2016. Then you get on to the contents section. Very detailed contents, you can see all the way through. And I'm just doing, you see the numbering is slightly different. It's in Roman numerals, and it's nine total chapters, the ninth being concluding remarks. Then after that you get the bibliography, he calls it general literature, and the index of names and the general index. Then the table of contents is structured again slightly differently because you've got the international courts and tribunals. Then you've got, after that, quite a hefty list all the way through. Then once you've got that, you've got the special area of cases as well. National cases, again, depending on which country you're talking about. Then the legislation, a substantial amount again. The international legislation, again, all the way through. You can see it runs for a long time. Then after that, the list of abbreviations. Again, as with a lot of legal stuff today, you do need to have abbreviations because it's terribly difficult sometimes to know what they're referring to. But you can see how long this particular list of abbreviations is. You see it goes on for some considerable time because he's using, we are covering a wide series of jurisdictions in terms of international law. There are the abbreviations. Then we get a list of figures, which are actually included as well, quite useful. Then after that, you've got the chapter headings, and then subheadings, some quotes, a lot of footnotes again all the way through, substantial justifications for everything. The framework of international criminal procedure, role and status of legal participants, and so on. So really all the questions you will have about this jurisdiction are answered. This is the procedural part, which will be of direct relevance, I think, to members of the bar and certainly any jurists practicing internationally. So what do we say about the book? Well, we say this. As the author, Kai Ambos writes in his preface, It took him longer than expected to complete the third volume, and we are not surprised because of the vast size and technical complexity of its subject matter, as well as the well-nigh unmanageable scope of the relevant case law. And as we say too right, as we all know, from the huge volume of cases, and he has done, we think, a great job for us at a time of such change for all of us with Brexit. And I say that because the repercussions of this decision to leave the EU will have a knock-on effect on a lot of other things, apart from just the trade and economic matters. It's bound to affect legal principles as well, in the longer term, of course. And this is therefore a work which may have to be, of course, re-edited further in view of the monumental changes which the UK is now just beginning after the referendum in June 2016. And I'm recording this in the autumn of 2016. And we feel that Ambos did not bargain in this outcome when he started, and many commentators, we think, will share the view that much of what has been achieved so far, we would hope, should remain untouched by the Brexiteers. We shall have to see. I would think most of this will not be interfered with, but who can say, because we've got this current debate as I deliver this little video of hard Brexit and soft Brexit, and it really will be about negotiating, but it's also going to be something else, because the political dimension, which always hits the legal side as well, is going to be about where Britain sees herself in the world in future, and that of course is a much more difficult thing, because it's an unknown potential basically. Anyway, the basis of this treaty can be seen from the most recent history of international criminal law, developed from the adoption of the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court in 1998. Very welcomed it was too. Of course, international criminal law has rapidly grown in importance for everybody and has been a positive creation, we think. This 3-volume treatise, therefore, on international criminal law presents a foundational, systematic, consistent and comprehensive analysis, his words, of the field, and is recommended, that's our words, to all involved in aspects of international criminal law and procedure. Well done, Mr. Ambos. Just one word of warning, though, and that is the need for less complexity, if that is at all possible, which I doubt. It's important when reading the book to consider the scholarly literature involved, not only sources written in English, but also in French, German, Italian, Portuguese and Spanish. The title draws on the extensive academic and practical work in international criminal law which Kai Ambos possesses. And the 3rd volume has now arrived, thankfully, and offers a comprehensive analysis of the procedures and implementation of international law by international criminal tribunals and the International Criminal Court. And that's exactly what you're getting. And by analysing the framework of international criminal procedure, Ambos considers each stage in the process of proceedings before the ICC, including the role of legal participants, which is in the sort of middle section of the book, the scope of jurisdiction and enforcement of sentences. It's clearly an area which in the long term we think must develop further, notwithstanding all the political and legal problems within Europe at the moment. Obviously we're going to be embarking on some big changes. Now I think the author's mission with this book, as a full 3-volume treatise, is to address what he calls the entirety of international criminal law, restating and re-examining the fundamental principles upon which it rests, the manner it is enacted, and the key issues that are shaping its future. And he has been, we think, most successful in his endeavours with the knowledge and the expertise at his disposal. And if I can conclude, I'd say it will surely remain essential reading for all practitioners in this jurisdiction, also, of course, academics and students of international criminal law alike. And we think it should be of great interest to those who have forced Brexit upon us. I have to say that, because I didn't agree with it, but it's there and we've got to deal with it. Because there is going to be a reshaping, no question, of all that we will be doing, and probably going to ensure within the next few years, a great deal of change. So worry not, because you've at least got this book here to give you sound advice as to where we are at the moment. The publication date is cited at around May 2016. Let's just look at it again. It's a heavy book, this one, actually. There's the front and there's the spine. And there's nothing on the page. Just opening right in the middle. In jurisdiction admissibility. There we go. You can see straight into the big stuff here. As I say, a huge amount of detail. There is cross-referencing to other parts, to other volumes, of course, as well. You've got some figures, which I mentioned earlier, which are there to give you some help. That's concerning preliminary examination of issues. Proceedings before the ICC and ad hoc tribunals. Again, I think very useful to know how you go about this. As I say, one of the problems that I have a concern about, I'm sure as everybody else does, is the complexity of it all. But it's inevitable when you've got all the different languages, the different cultures and everybody else involved. You're bound to have a lot of complex stuff to deal with. Anyway, it's a very good book. Great that we've now got the third volume. Thank you to Kai Ambos and OUP for undertaking this splendid task. It makes everybody's lives a lot easier. Thank you to all. Bye-bye.